Kenya and US marked the 20th anniversary of the Al-Qaeda bombings of the US embassies that killed more than 250 people in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. A prayer meeting was held as families of the victims and officials gathered at a memorial park built on the site of the US embassy. US Ambassador to Kenya, Bob Godek, joined the ceremony in Nairobi to commemorate 20 years since the attack. A coalition led by the United States admitted that it killed 77 civilians in the airstrikes in Syria's Raqqa in 2017. The coalition said in a report that 77 were killed in 5 air raids from June to October in 2017. It said the tragedies happened despite the necessary protective measures taken by the coalition. The Syrian government said the coalition's strikes on extremist groups did not get authorization of the United Nations and accused it of killing large number of Syrian civilians. Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi said that Iraq does not agree with US sanctions against Iran but will abide by them to protect its own interests. US President Donald Trump had pledged that firms doing business with Tehran would be barred from the United States as new US sanctions against Iran took effect. The United States and Iran, increasingly at odds, are Iraq's two biggest allies, and the sanctions put Abadi's outgoing government in a difficult position. Dozens of Palestinians took part in a funeral procession for 2 Hamas gunmen killed by Israeli tank fire in the northern Gaza town of Beit Lahia. On Tuesday, the 2 gunmen were killed in a strike that the Israeli military said was launched against a position from which its troops had come under fire. Hamas's military wing, the Qassam Brigades, issued a statement saying that it mourns the 2 mujahideen and they had been martyred in a Zionist bombardment. US President Donald Trump administration announces next round of punitive tariffs for Chinese imports, bringing the total of to $50 billion worth of goods that will face 25% tariffs. The United States will begin collecting tariffs from August 23rd as it published a final tariff list targeting 279 import product lines. Jean-Henri Séant has sworn in as Haiti's new prime minister in a ceremony presided over by President Jovenel Moise. Séant begins his term in the wake of the resignation of Prime Minister Jacques-Guy Lafontaine, who stepped aside after a move to lower fuel subsidies prompted days of violent protests in the impoverished Caribbean nation. Walt Disney Company reported a 7% rise in quarterly revenue driven by the success of superhero movie Avengers Infinity War and more visitors to its theme parks and resorts. Net income attributable to Disney rose to $2.92 billion in the third quarter that ended on June 30th. From $2.37 billion a year ago, Disney, which is buying some of 21st Century Fox TV and film units, said that total revenue rose to $15.23 billion from $14.24 billion. Argentina's former vice president, Amado Bodua, has been sentenced to nearly 6 years in prison after being found guilty of corruption while serving under former President Cristina Kirchner. The charges related to Bodua's attempt to buy a company that printed currency through a front business while serving as Kirchner's economy minister. Bodua, who served in Kirchner's cabinet from 2009 to 2015, has also been banned for life from holding public office. Georgians gathered outside the building which used to house Russia's embassy in Tbilisi to mark 10 years since the Georgia-Russia war. With mostly English-language protest signs, protesters were bidding to attract international attention to the frozen conflict that they say still holds a sizable chunk of the country under Russian occupation. Chinese astronomers have discovered the most lithium-rich giant star ever known. The discovery is likely to shed new light on the evolution of the universe. The discovery of the star was published in the latest issue of Nature Astronomy. The researchers said the abundant lithium might be a result of a special material exchange process in the interior of the star. Thousands of people gathered in Bogota and a dozen more cities across Colombia to express their opposition to the incoming President Iván Duque. Hours before Duque's inauguration ceremony, people marched in the streets, some holding white flags and signs that called for the preservation of a peace deal with the country's leftist rebels. Colombia's conflict between leftist rebels, the state and paramilitary groups has left at least 260,000 dead, some 60,000 missing and millions displaced. The US State Department urged Canada and Saudi Arabia to resolve their dispute triggered by Canadian comments expressing concern over the arrests of activists in the Arab state. State Department spokeswoman Heather Nauert said the both sides need to diplomatically resolve this together. We can't do it for them, they need to resolve it together. Federal police operating in Guadalajara's international airport have seized over a dozen bread rolls packed with bags of cocaine. According to officials, sniffer dogs found the package of 15 pieces of bread rolls destined for California. Each contained a bag with 120 grams of cocaine, with the market value of cocaine fetching around $150 per pure gram. Small shipments such as these are becoming increasingly problematic for anti-narcotics officers at airport. Veteran Indian politician M. Karunanidhi passes away after multiple organ failure at a Chennai hospital. Following the demise, the Government of India issued a statement declaring a day of mourning throughout the country. In the statement, it was also stated that the national flag will fly half-mast during this period and all government-related functions would be cancelled. A group of journalists conducted protests against the arrest of Bangladeshi photojournalist Shahidul Alam and the recent attack on Indian photojournalist Praveen Indrekar at the Press Club in Mumbai. Protesters took to the streets with placards in their hands carrying photos of Alam and Indrekar, demanding justice for their fellow journalists. Alam arrested after his interview with a private international channel regarding students' protests happening in the country. As the heat wave bakes France with temperatures set to break 40 degrees in parts, Parisians and tourists rally around fountains and water sprays to cool down. 70 departments have issued orange alerts, 56 warning of high temperatures, while 39 warning of expected thunderstorms in the northern parts of France and Paris. Hail and high winds to 100 kilometers per hour with thunderstorms are expected. Swiss Army helicopters began airlifting water to thousands of thirsty cows amid scorching temperatures in southern Switzerland. Large red plastic containers hung from the bottom of the Super Puma helicopters carried the water to farms in the Jura Mountains and Alpine foothills. Some 40,000 cows graze in the summertime in high-altitude pastures in Vaud Canton State in western Switzerland and each need up to at least 150 litres of water a day. The evacuation orders are in full force in several communities south of Los Angeles as a wildfire called the Holy Fire continues to grow. At least 600 firefighters are currently tackling the blaze, according to the officials. The blaze is 2% contained and has burned at least 4,000 acres of land. A forest fire in inland Valencia province has forced 2,500 people to flee their homes. More than 1,500 hectares have burned since the fire broke out on Monday. Emergency services believe the fire was caused by lighting after brief but dramatic electric storms that crossed the province on Sunday and Monday nights. Firefighters and anxious residents braced for a fifth straight night of battling a major wildfire that is racing across tinder dry forested hills in southern Portugal. The Portuguese Civil Protection Agency said firefighters had contained 95% of the blaze in rolling hills by the country's southern Algarve forest. And though they were very wary of changes in the wind that could cause the flames to reignite. While some parts in North China finally saw a drop in temperature, many places in South China are still suffering from scorching heat, which has been lasting for nearly 2 weeks, including Shanghai. Shanghai is not suffering the worst of the heat. According to reports, 22 counties and cities in the southwest and northeast regions of the country experienced their hottest July on record, affecting both human health and agricultural production. The Chinese Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Emergency Management allocated about $36.64 million to assist domestic regions affected by disasters of heavy rain and severe flood. The regions are Southwest China's Sichuan province and North China's Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. Sichuan received around $39 million of relief funds and Inner Mongolia received around $7.4 million. The funds will mainly be used to relocate affected people and help them with daily necessities. An 18-meter-long fin whale was rescued from shallow waters in Contoy Island, a natural protected area off the coast of Cancun. The operation was led by the Environment Protection Agency in Contoy Island. The fin or finback whale is the world's second-largest living mammal and is on the global endangered species list. Ruby Rose is making history with her latest role as Batwoman, the first openly gay superhero to headline a TV series. Batwoman will be introduced in December crossover event between the network's other DC comic shows, Arrow, The Flash and Supergirl. Rose wrote on Instagram that she's thrilled and honored and an emotional wreck by the news. Cubans are pedaling hard these days, reviving a bicycle trend in Havana in an effort to counter a struggling public transport system and to change a stigma associated with bicycles during the special period. Once a month, dozens of cyclists meet to take a 20-kilometer ride through the capital as part of a project called Bicicletea, which started 2 years ago. Turkish authorities on Monday conducted a hugely sensitive operation to move a centuries-old bathhouse weighing 1,600 tons to a new location to avoid being engulfed under flood waters by a controversial dam project. The Atukulu Hammam bathhouse in a southeastern town was loaded onto a wheeled platform and then moved down a specially constructed road to a new location in a process that took several hours. Pop singer Lady Gaga is heading to Las Vegas for a residency in December and offering fans two kinds of shows. The singer announced that she will kick off the first of 27 performances at the Park Theatre on December 28th this year. Lady Gaga Enigma will highlight the pop star's biggest and most upbeat hits, while Lady Gaga Jazz and Piano will feature more stripped-down songs. The West Hollywood City Council in the U.S. has voted unanimously to remove U.S. President Donald Trump's star from the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The council cited Trump's disturbing treatment of women and other actions for voting in favor of the move. A resolution adopted by the council urged the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce to remove the star. Bollywood director Meghna Gulzar will be making a web series based on former Mumbai Police Commissioner Rakesh Maria's life, who cracked cases like the 1993 Bombay serial blasts and Zaveri Bazaar twin blasts case of 2003. Talking about the series, Meghna said, "I am happy to relive the journey."